Well, nobody said it was over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, right? Well, don't tell Ron Paul supporters that the nomination fight is over. The Texas congressman is still in the Republican presidential race, and although his chances of winning the nomination are slim to none, he can still make things interesting, and here's how. Today we're doing a deep dive into Paul's bid to win delegates and influence in the party, and he's doing it a couple of ways. So when it comes to the head-to-head matchups, Paul, of course, is not farewell. He hasn't won a single primary or caucus on the nights that the primary or caucuses have been held. Currently, Mitt Romney has 856 delegates. Ron Paul estimated to be just 94. But that's not the whole story, and it's not stopping the 77-year-old from campaigning and firing up his supporters wherever he goes.
The dictators and the pharaohs and the kings have been around for a long, long time. Freedom is a new idea. It was really developed in this country. We have lost our way, but we can find our way again, and that is what is happening now. Thank you very much.
You know, the guy gets bigger crowds than Mitt Romney does. But the real fight for Ron Paul and his supporters is no longer on the campaign trail. What his campaign is focused on is the Republican convention in August, and it's working the delegate selection rules at county and state conventions around the country. And boy, is it paying off. Take Maine, for example. Romney won the narrow victory in the February caucuses, but it was a non-binding election, as we told you then. The actual delegates were chosen on Sunday in Augusta. And guess what? 21 of the 24 went to Ron Paul. He won the state of Maine as far as the convention rules are concerned. It was a different strategy in Nevada, another state that Romney won back in February. Now, those caucuses were binding. So Ron Paul can't win the delegates for himself. But what did his supporters do? They can still get chosen as the delegates. And they did. They won 22 of the 25 spots up for grabs. So that means while they can't vote for Ron Paul at the convention on the first ballot, they can carry his ideology with them to Tampa. And that means something, and I'll explain. Same story in Massachusetts. All the delegates are pledged to vote for their former governor. But even in a state where Romney won more than 70% of the vote, it's Paul's supporters that are going to fill 16 of the state's 38 delegate seats. Now, Paul's supporters have even denied Romney's former lieutenant governor, Kerry Healy, the chance to be a delegate for Mitt Romney. So what's the frontrunner's response to all this? His campaign says Governor Romney has a lot of respect for Dr. Paul and the energy his supporters bring to the process. As for individual state conventions, make no mistake that the Tampa convention will nominate Mitt Romney, and it will be his convention. But what happens if Ron Paul's supporters decide to stir the pot? For one, they can do some serious damage to Romney's attempts to unify the party. Even if they can't vote for Paul, it's possible that Paul's supporters turned delegates may just refuse to vote, maybe rather than vote for Mitt Romney. That's possible. Romney could still get the nomination, but it just may not be pretty or unanimous. So why would Ron Paul go to all this trouble? Well, for one, he wants a strong voice at the convention and possibly a shot at influencing the party platform. There's also the possibility he's paving the way for a future White House bid by his son, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. And lastly, don't count out the possibility that the 77-year-old himself could run again. After all, he's done it 3 times already. What's one more? There are ways that these Paul-influenced delegates can mess around at this convention. They're not going to deny Romney the nomination. That we know. The party platform is a big deal. And guess what? Also the VP nomination. There is no pledge on that. If somehow Paul is somehow influencing 30, 40% of the delegates there, it's going to be a raucous convention. It's not going to make the prettiest of pictures that Mitt Romney's campaign would like to paint that week when it's supposed to be all about introducing the country to the Republican.